Welcome to the Badass Direct Sales Mastery Podcast with your direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger. Badass Direct Sales Mastery is a podcast for rock star direct sales moms who are determined to make their business kick ass. Jennie will share her knowledge of effective sales and recruiting techniques, tips to get what you want from your business, and will interview direct sales professionals and leaders from various companies. The interviews will give insight to how these rock stars got to where they are and where they plan to grow in the future. And now, the direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger.
Welcome back to another episode of Badass Direct Sales Mastery. I'm your host, your direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger, helping you whip your business into shape. And today I knew I needed to do this episode. I've been thinking about it and writing it for a really long time. So I've got notes off to the side. So for those of you who are watching this on YouTube, I'll be checking those notes from time to time, making sure I'm staying on track. But I wanted to share this with you because this has been a pretty rough year for people. Honestly, 2025 has not gone exactly the way some people had hoped and planned and thought it would. And so I wanted to share some things to help you be able to grow your team. So, today's episode is actually entitled Stop Begging and Start Attracting: How to Find the Right Team Members. And I wanted to start out by saying, historically, direct sales, network marketing, and MLM companies actually do grow in times of recession. And that may seem pretty counterintuitive, but here's why. It's often because people are more open to new ways of making money. And our industry absolutely makes it a no-brainer to start a new business for a really low investment compared to a more, and I'm going to put air quotes around this, traditional business. So there is that piece that if you were wondering, is now the time to really grow my team? Abso-freaking-lutely. This is your time to start really opening up and going for that growth, because people are hurting right now and they are looking for alternatives, and they're just trying to figure out, okay, how can I make this work? There's so many people who are willing to do something different now. So I just wanted to start out with that. Secondly, I want to point out to you also, though, so this is kind of different here. Talking to everyone about the business doesn't work either. I know that sounds so freaking weird, right? But by talking to everyone is actually hurting your confidence because you don't feel comfortable talking to everyone, okay? And really and honestly, the opportunity isn't for everyone. It's for some people, but not for everyone. So what you want to be doing is you want to start with getting clear on who your ideal team member would be. Now, this I would recommend you get familiar with. If you aren't already familiar with, I know if you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you know that I really love the DISC behavioral profile, or the 4 colors of MLM, as presented by Al Schreider. Because what this does is it really helps you understand people and how they're showing up in the world and how to speak to them. So what you want to be doing is figuring out the type of personality that you work best with, or the behavioral style that you work best with. Now, if you can get to the point that you can recognize and interact with behavioral styles that aren't your own, then you're going to have a greater chance of being able to bring other people on board and really help them grow and succeed. But if you haven't made that effort to learn those different behavioral styles, I would highly recommend that you make that something that you work on as a leader in network marketing, because it's very important for you to be out there understanding who's on your team and how to support them, how to speak to them, because each behavioral style does have their own verbiage and language and way that they approach the world. So you want to make sure that you are checking in with them. So now I want to bring up for you, because I've done some brainstorming and I have taken a look at some red flags and some green lights to keep your eye open for when you are actively recruiting new team members. Okay. So once you've identified your ideal team member, right? You've discovered what the core values are, who you want to be as a part of your team, what that looks like. Here's what you want to be looking and listening for. Now I'm going to give you the red flags first. So that way you know, okay, these are the whoa, pause, wait a minute before we make the offer, because these are super important for you to know. So one of them is when somebody asks you, how much do I have to sell to get my discount? So what they're doing is they're already showing you that they're just here for the product and not the business. They want to know what's the bare minimum so that they can maintain their discount. They are not going to build a business. Okay. Second red flag, I'll sign up, but I'm not a salesperson. So now what they're doing is they're telling you up front that they don't believe in what they're getting into. They don't believe in what you're doing, and they aren't going to do it themselves. They're already telling you that. 3, they ghost you after showing interest. Now, this may be because they get cold feet. Totally understand that. But what they are also showing you is that if they can't even follow through on a conversation, because showing interest and having a conversation does not mean that they have to do the sign up, right? But if they can't follow through on that conversation, what are the odds that they're going to follow through on showing up for trainings, taking action in their own business? They're already showing you that they can't follow through. Red flag number 4, they tell you that they've tried a bunch of other companies. So what they've been doing is they've been hopping from opportunity to opportunity, business to business, and they haven't been sticking around long enough to do anything meaningful in business, which means there's a really good chance they're going to hop on the next shiny object that comes their way. Number 5, they want to think about it for weeks. Okay. This is a sign of indecision. They don't know how to decide. And indecision is a killer in business. And I don't mean that in a good way. It shows that they're probably going to need hand-holding every single time that they are asked to make a move. And we all know that we want people who are self-motivated, who take action. And so if they're sitting there thinking about it, hemming and hawing on the fence for days and days and days, and that turns into weeks, this is not an ideal team member for you. They're not going to be able to take action quickly. They've already shown you that. Number 6, they're already asking you about what happens if they don't hit a rank, which means they're already focused on failure and they haven't even started yet. Right? Now, it could be that they're literally just wanting to know what the consequences are. And if the consequences are, well, you don't go to the next rank, okay, that's fine. As long as they've also asked, what does it take to get there, right? Number 7, the 7th red flag, they expect you to do all the work for them. So they're going to say things like, well, will you train my people for me? Will you help me make my first 10 sales? And they're asking you to do this before they've even tried to do any of it themselves. Now, obviously, when someone's new, you will walk alongside them, but you don't want to set the precedent that you're going to train their people forever and ever. Amen. Especially if you want to bring on somebody who will become a leader. Okay. The 8th red flag, they are overly negative about their past company or outline. If they are bashing others before they even sign on with you, What are they going to say about you when things get tough? Yeah, probably not good. All right. The ninth red flag. They want all of the perks, but none of the work. They love the idea of the free trips, the income, the community, but they won't actually do anything to do it because they are, you can literally watch them. If you pay attention, they cringe at the idea of talking to anybody or showing up on video on social media. If they can't step out of their comfort zone, how are they going to earn the free trips, that extra income, or build a community like that, or be a big part of a community like that? The 10th red flag is they want exact step by step guarantees. What this is showing you is that they are not entrepreneurial because in the world of business, there are no guarantees, right? When you are in business for yourself, even if you have a wonderful team around you, there are no guarantees. So, what they're looking for is a predictable outcome from a job, not a business. So, if you start seeing multiples of those red flags, this is not a challenge to convince them harder. It's the universe telling you, next, move on, right? So, if you are talking to somebody and you see one of these red flags, it doesn't mean stop. But if you see two, three, four, five of them and they haven't even signed on yet, maybe it's time to step back and say, you know what? I don't think this is a right fit and see what happens. Now, I've given you all the red flags. Let's look at the green lights, the ones that should have you going, oh, yes, I have found my person. Okay. So, green light number one, they've bought the product, they love it, and they are already telling others all about it. They're already sending people to you. They're already doing the work before joining the team. That is dream team material, potentially. It could be someone who absolutely loves you, loves the product, and wants to support you, and they may never want to do the business. That's totally fine. But that's a good first sign. The second green light, they ask you, how fast can I get started? This shows initiative, enthusiasm, and decision making power. The third green light, they have a history of sticking with things, whether it's a career, parenting, sports, or a hobby. They finish what they start. Now, here's the thing. If you don't know if they have a history of sticking with things, ask them during this, before they start their business. Give me an example or multiple examples of times when you've finished things that you've started. And that will help you get an idea of whether or not they are going to be able to stick with the business. The fourth green light, they ask smart business questions. Instead of asking, well, what do I get? They ask things like, what's working best for your team right now? Or what kind of support do you provide? They want to know the important things instead of, well, will you do the things for me, right? They're wanting to start to know what's working in this world. The fifth green light, they've got people skills, whether it's online, so you see them showing up on social media as positive, relationship oriented, just as a bubbly or positive or good person, and they interact well. They know how to communicate. They're not airing their dirty laundry on social media. you want to make sure that it's also true in person, that they are really good with people. They should genuinely enjoy other human beings and having conversations because, as you know, it's called network marketing. 50% of your job is to build a network. Well, how do you build a network? You've got to interact with people, which means people have to have people skills. And if they don't have great people skills, but they're coachable, you can teach people skills. So just be aware of that. The sixth green light is that they are self motivated learners. They say things like, I love learning new things, or I've already started watching some training videos. So maybe they already hopped on YouTube and they went and looked for your company and inserted like training videos for, company name. They're already looking for how to be successful, right? They're already jumping in, going, okay, what do I need to know? What am I going to do? The seventh green light is that they light up when you talk about the vision. They should be excited about growth and personal development, community, the lifestyle associated with being successful in this business, not just the discount or the commission. The eighth green light is that they've had success in other areas of life. So this could be corporate, their own personal fitness. They could be a great parent, or maybe it's been a past business. Because keep in mind, all the time in our industry, businesses have shifted, they're closing down. So as long as they've shown success in another business, another network marketing company perhaps, it shows that they know how to commit and win. And maybe the only reason they're not there anymore is because that company changed their compensation plan or went out of business. The ninth green light that you want to be looking for is that they say something along the lines of, I was already looking for something like this. You should be thinking, yes, because these people are primed and ready. You and your company and your opportunity are the answer to a question they were already asking. And the 10th green light is that they take action quickly. So this means they respond to your messages, they follow through on what they say, and they don't drag their feet. So when you have all 10 of these green flags, or quite a few of them, they are like glitter on a red carpet, y'all, because when you see them, you should be ready to roll out this red carpet, hand them the mic, and welcome them to the stage because you are about to onboard your first rock star. Now, when you're talking to somebody like this, you don't want to be thinking about convincing them or thinking, how can I convince them to do this? As my mentor used to say, what are the first three letters of convincing? C-O-N, con. When you are coming from a place of convincing, you may feel like, or be coming from a place of believing that you are conning them, or they feel that way. You don't want to try to convince people. What you want to do is invite them in. Invite them to the opportunity. Invite them to learn more. Invite them to ask questions. Invite them to take a look at things on their own. Invite them to do this alongside you. So, I want to keep your mind open and aware that there's a lot of fool's gold out there. As we know, there's a huge turnover rate in our industry for years. And if you've been listening to the show for a while, you know that the statistics consistently show that in 5 years, 90% of our industry has left. They've stopped doing the business. Not that they've left a company, they've left the industry as a whole. So what you want to be doing is treating your recruiting as finding the diamond in the rough and being able to tell the difference between the fool's gold and the diamond in the rough, because they probably look a lot alike. You find what you are looking for. And as one of my other mentors has said, if you spot it, you got it. So it's easier to spot what you already have in yourself. So if you are looking for a rock star, if you are doing rock star team member things and have rock star qualities yourself, then other rock stars are going to be attracted to working with you. And I will tell you, based on all the work I've done in network marketing since 2011, all of the leaders that I've talked to for years, all of the rock stars that I've invited onto the show, they have 5 things in common, 5 common traits. And I put all of them in my How to Find Your Next Rockstar Team Member guide. So if you want to stop guessing and start attracting the right people, then grab my free guide and meet your next rock star. So all you have to do to get the guide is go to badassdirectsalesmastery.com/rock-star, and I'll send you the guide. Now, of course, if you're listening and you're a regular listener, you know that I've put the link in the show notes. And the show notes are going to be very short because I'm literally just going to put the link. If you want the 10 red flags and the 10 green lights, then you're going to have to go back and listen again and write them down, because you will remember it better if you do that. If I just hand you a transcript of what I said, if I just gave you all of my notes, you're less likely to remember it. So what I have in the show notes is the link for you to go grab that guide, because I want to send it to you. It's just 5 pages. And in there, it includes some really important things that you need to know, including assessing people as you're talking to them to find out if they are a rock star. Are they starting to show the signs of being a rock star team member when you first recruit them? So again, go to badassdirectsalesmastery.com/rock-star, or go to the show notes, or if you're on YouTube, just scroll right down there, click on the link, and fill in your information, and I'll send you the guide right away. And of course, Badass Crew, you know how this goes. Stay tuned, because there's another badass episode on its way.
Thanks for listening to the Badass Direct Sales Mastery Podcast with your direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger. Why are you waiting to go to badassdirectsalesmastery.com? Don't make the dom get her whip. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to share it with another rock star that you know in direct sales after you subscribe to the podcast so you won't miss any future episodes. You can also check out the show notes for links and any contact information mentioned in today's episode. We'll see you next time.